Horse riding is the leading cause of sport-related traumatic brain injury, study finds. This is something that you can read on ABC News. And today we're going to be talking about helmets and why helmets are so important and why saying things as they are just a placebo effect and they don't prevent anything is kind of stupid and misinformed. Helmets are something that I think are incredibly important. There's a reason why we have research going into them still to this day. In fact, I know a couple studies going on at my university that are using bio-inspired design, meaning they're looking at nature to create better helmets for, not even for equestrians, for football people, which football, they don't even have as many traumatic brain injuries as we do as equestrians. And they have helmets. And a lot of times, their leading causes of injuries are going to be, muscular. It's going to be bone damage. It's going to be broken bones. They don't hit their heads that often, and yet they have to have better made helmets because of the traumatic brain injuries that are occurring within the sport. Because traumatic brain injuries, TBIs, and you can look this up if you so desire, they can have long-lasting effects and even not affect you currently, but then affect you later on in life. One big issue that happens with traumatic brain effects is like slow changes of personality. And people at first will think that they're fine and they'll test as fine. And then as they get older, they start showing symptoms of they're becoming more aggressive. They're forgetting things more often. It leads to a lot of issues later on in life, which is why helmets are important. And I will say, helmets are not there to prevent injury. For the most part, nothing is ever going to be created to prevent something because you can never account for every scenario. So you can't account for every way that an equestrian might land on their head. And so you cannot prevent brain injuries. The helmets are there to reduce the likelihood and reduce the severity of brain injuries. They are not there to prevent. That's not a thing. If someone's trying to tell you that helmets don't prevent anything, they're correct. If they're telling you don't wear a helmet, they don't prevent anything, then they're spreading false science. They're not doing a good job of their research and they don't understand what they're talking about. And that's just the truth of the matter. To give you a little bit of a background on myself, and that jingling is my dog. I'm sorry, she's just always around. To give you a bit of my background, I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering 3 years ago? 3 years ago. And I'm now in a grad student program. I've taken more physiology classes while in this grad student program. Thank you, Lacey. Thank you for the juggling. And pretty much, there's ongoing research at my university talking about traumatic brain injuries and designing better helmets. This is an important topic. This is not something you should just shrug off. And I'll go ahead and say this as well. Dumb equestrians don't wear helmets. And really and truly, I know people who ride Western don't typically wear helmets, and I understand that because of the culture surrounding it, but I still think that it's not the best decision, and I think that it would be smarter to wear a helmet. So first, let's, I know I just went on a long spiel, and I should probably not just go on random long spiels, but let's go ahead and get into the science. So horse riding is the leading cause of sports-related traumatic brain injury, study finds. So whenever they're looking at traumatic brain injuries across the board, they're finding mostly equestrians. We don't even have the highest population, and yet we are the leading cause of sport-related traumatic brain injuries. That should tell you something right there, off the bat. And then let's go into the actual study itself. Sports-related traumatic brain injuries, TBIs, is an important public health concern, estimated to affect 300,000 to 3.8 million people annually in the United States. Although injuries to professionals, athletes dominate the media, this group represents only a small proportion of the overall population. They characterize the demographics of sports and blah, blah, blah. So let's look at the results. In total, scanning. Equestrian sports were the greatest contributors to sports-related TBI, 45.2%. Mild TBI represented nearly 86% of injuries overall. That's meaning that they aren't as severe, which I'm sure in the document itself, they probably, talk about what's considered severe and what's considered mild. But pretty much, yeah, we almost made up 50% of the TBIs in this study. And if that doesn't scare you, I really don't know what will, because everyone should know as well as I do, every high school has a football team with tons of people on it. And yet, there's probably only 1 to 2 people per class, depending on where you live, that ride horses. And yet we're making up 50% of TBIs. That's absolutely insane. That's so insane. So let's go into what TBI, traumatic brain injuries, do. They often occur as a result of a severe sports injury or car accident. They have immediate or delayed symptoms that can include confusion, blurry vision, concentration difficulty. Infants may cry persistently or be irritable. Treatment may involve rest, medication, and surgery, and it does require immediate medical diagnosis. You may have cognitive issues, amnesia, inability to speak or understand language, mental confusion, difficulty concentrating, difficulty thinking and understanding, and I'm reading this, inability to create new memories, or inability to recognize common things. Behavioral, abnormal laughing and crying, aggression, impulsivity, irritability, lack of restraint, or persistent repetition of words or actions. Whole body balance disorder, blackout, dizziness, fainting, fatigue. Mood, anger, anxiety, apathy or loneliness. Eyes, dilated pupil, raccoon eyes or unequal pupils. Gastrointestinal, nausea or vomiting. Speech, slurred speech or impaired voice, visual, blurred vision or sensitivity to light. Also common, persistent headache, a temporary moment of clarity, bleeding, bone fractures, bruising, depression, loss of smell, nerve injury, post-traumatic seizure, ringing in the ears, sensitivity to sound, or stiff muscles. So yeah, those are all things that you can experience through traumatic brain injuries. That's a pretty comprehensive list. That's, I feel like if that doesn't worry you, I'm not sure what would, is I think how I should phrase this. And guys, this is an important issue. Like, I don't mean to make light of it by just using a YouTube video, because I know people often make light of things using videos. But when we're talking about TBIs, we are talking about long-term damage. Most of my friends that I know, we all ride in helmets. Most people I know who've ridden have had some form of concussion. There are people I know who the next fall might kill them, even with a helmet, because of the brain damage that they have sustained in this sport. And creating better helmets and wearing your helmets more often can help prevent that. Now, will help reduce the likelihood. I hate using the word prevent. So let's talk about why the helmet is so important in comparison to, other injuries. Because the point was brought up in this other video that, if you fall, you're going to get bruising, broken bones. You're more likely to injure your wrist or your leg or your ribs than you are to injure your head. Which, first of all, that's not exactly true. It's kind of true to a degree, but not 100%. So yeah, when you fall, a lot of times people will naturally try to move to protect their head. But that doesn't mean that their head is fully getting protected. When you hit the ground, there's going to be some degree of whiplash that occurs. And also when you hit, your brain is going to get rattled around in there. Your brain is not attached to anything but the spinal cord. It's free floating within the skull. And so anytime there's any kind of concussion, the brain is shifting. And if there's a hard enough concussion, even if it's just on your body, it's going to rattle your brain around a little bit. And then, of course, when you hit the ground, a lot of times the last thing to hit might be your head, but your head is still going to hit. And there's still going to be that giant concussion, and your brain is, again, free floating in there. And the other important thing about brain injuries in comparison to arms and legs, your arms and your legs are designed to repair themselves, as are like any kind of muscular injury, not any kind, but most muscular injuries, most skeletal injuries. Your body has ways to heal itself in a fairly quick manner. So, in comparison to other things. So like if I was to break my wrist, I think you have to wear a cast for 6 weeks and then the bone heals itself. We also have lots of surgeries that help with those kinds of injuries. And that's just the way the body is designed. Certain areas of our body are designed to heal. The cells in your brain and in your spinal cord are not really designed to heal. any kind of like traumatic injury in those areas can have long-lasting to permanent effects because they just aren't designed to heal as well. And right now, I don't remember the exact science behind it, but like if you want me to go pull up my physiology books, I can go pull up physiology books and talk about the reasoning behind that. But yeah, like, guys, this is serious. This is not something that you joke about. This is not me trying to make fun of anyone else. This is me saying honestly and truly, yes, helmets are not out there to prevent anything. They're there to reduce the likelihood. Equestrians are the leading sport in traumatic brain injuries, and traumatic brain injuries have very serious and very long-term consequences. They should not be made light of. They should not be joked about, and you should not sit there and tell people that it's a placebo effect. Especially if anyone ever tells you that you're just wearing a helmet because you're weak or you think it's some kind of fake way to make you feel safe, you should automatically understand that person does not know what they're talking about and that they are putting their opinions over safety concerns. And it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, I know, I'm probably rambling at this point. This is probably a long enough video, but just know it's serious. And I really wish you guys all the best. If you ever want any more videos like this, I can attempt to make them. I'm not going to say I'm going to be very good at them, but I can attempt to make them. So please like, comment, tell me if there's anything else you want me to talk about. And, you know, hopefully we'll have more writing videos posted up soon. Hannah and I both haven't had very many videos taken recently, so we shall see. And also there might be a big change in the future on this channel. We shall see if there's a big change in the future on this channel. Not coming from me. I'm going to blame Hannah, who still hasn't done her intro video, but that's fine. But okay, guys, I'm going to sign off there. Be safe, ride smart, and be kind to your animal. Bye!